All right, upper body time again. Body activation, explorations, shoulder rotation at flexion, which means we're spinning those arms overhead. The journaling exercise. Again, what are you feeling? What are you currently feeling? Get specific, flush out exactly where you feel and what you feel. Use those descriptive words. How does how you feel affect how you move? And we're going to be doing around 6 to 12 repetitions on each side. That means pain-free motion with zero cramping. And then our pace is controlled. Spin in for 3 seconds, spin out for 3 seconds. We're looking for the position that feels the best and the motion that is the most difficult to control. So keep your eyes out and note that position and motion. We're going to find what needs practice. I'm going to start out. Brandon's going to show us the standing position. And I'm going to put this in a freeze frame when he brings the arm all the way up. Now, first of all, you have to be able to bring the arm up. So this is challenged at the utmost height of flexion. If this is a position that is difficult for you, only go where you can handle. So this is the whole point of feeling safe. If there's any pain or cramping in the flex position, just do it from a lower position. The whole point is raising the arm and slowly spinning the arm in and out. Brandon's going a little fast with this rotation, so you may want to slow this down slightly because the whole point is knowing where you feel safe with this rotation. One side may not be the same as the other. Especially if you've ever had any type of shoulder injury. So as you're going through this, just take your time on raising it and take your time for going in and out. You'll also notice that it's easy for you to just spin the wrist. Make sure that you're doing your best to spin from the shoulder itself rather than just the wrist. But if the wrist is all you have, that's okay too. Just note that in your journal because, again, we're looking for building safety in our positions and making sure that we find the position that feels the safest and the most difficult motion to control. So you can see how Brandon's shoulder, if you look right at the shoulder, it's not really spinning a whole lot, but his hand and wrist are also spinning. So it's the combination of all these positions, and you can see that he's has to work in order to keep that arm up overhead. His head's moving, and then the other side looks a little bit easier, but as soon as he starts spinning it, that's pretty tough. So this is a challenging rotation, especially when you're lifting up overhead. Make sure that your neck feels okay with this, and Brandon is bringing his arm up as high as he can, even though it's slightly forward. It's not directly overhead, so you see it's slightly forward when he brings it up. So if you have more range of motion, that's excellent. Just do your best to make sure that you respect where the shoulder feels tight, especially when we start doing these sideline positions. These can be kind of dangerous, so be careful with them. When you bring that arm up overhead and reach, just slowly bring it up overhead and slowly spin to make sure that you are confident with that shoulder position. If you've ever had a shoulder dislocation, be ultra careful with going overhead with that shoulder when you start doing these rotations because it's an unsupported position. Brandon has the head supported to make sure he gets a little bit of neck support in there too. And we're going to do the same thing overhead. So as we're going through this, you should feel as though the arm is getting more relaxed and more free as you're going through it. If it's tightening up, limit the amount of times you're doing it. Note that on your journal so that you can see how it relates to when you do this at a different time or a different angle, because it may be the rotation that's difficult, or it may be raising the arm that's difficult, or lowering the arm that's difficult if you're on your back, because technically when that arm goes towards overhead, you're really lowering the arm towards the ground, which means you got to hold it, which is a lot of work if you've ever had shoulder problems or you haven't done it for a long time. So as we're checking to see if it feels safe to put that arm up overhead, slowly support the head and the arm. You can do this on the ground or you can do this on a bed by just spinning that shoulder in place and making sure that everything feels supported as you do so. So as we're finishing up, again, between 6 to 12 times if they start to feel the reps or the arm feels a little tight to begin with, try a couple of reps. If it doesn't feel that good, then stop and go to the next position. Just make sure that you're feeling safe as you're going through this. Now Brandon's on the opposite side, and he goes right to left. So he's doing the left side because he already did that right side lying. He's supporting the neck and reaching up overhead as far as he can comfortably and safely. And he's spinning it in and out, leading with the wrist and putting that spin through the shoulder where he feels out what's going on. You can even do this in front of a mirror to see if it resembles the opposite side. We're using symmetry, like how well one side does it versus another, along with how does it feel when we shift positions. You can see how Brandon's positioning, everything's pretty similar, that the arm reacts very similarly when he's on his back or he's standing or on his side. They don't really change a whole lot. Some of the other positions, his arm position and how high he raises arm switched a lot. So this one was pretty similar all throughout, and he's noting in between, giving me notations on what and how things feel. You can also see that this left side came up even higher than the right side as he's spinning it through, but he also is supporting part of his arm with the table. So if you're on the ground and doing this, just note that the ground may be supporting the wrist and the hand by pushing the ground, actually pushing up on the shoulder. So if you need a little extra space, you can just prop a pillow underneath that chest to make it feel a little safer, rather than feeling like the ground is shoving up on that shoulder and making it feel a little tight. So now that we've finished up with all of our rotations, let's go back to our journaling exercise and see how it compares to the very beginning. What do you currently feel, and how does it compare to when you started the session? Now accurately describe that difference. And are you moving differently now just from doing this range of motion? Now that you've identified the position that feels the best and the motion that needs practice, let's build an exercise.